Good day, everyone. This is Thea Claire M. Tagupa of BSID Math 2, and we are assigned to discuss the topic for Learning Unit 2, Lesson 4, entitled Technology, Collaborative Tools in the Digital World. But before we proceed with our main discussion, let me provide first the objectives of this lesson. So we have here to define and identify flexible learning and its environments, provide advantages and disadvantages of flexible learning environments, and to identify different platforms utilized in flexible learning. So what comes in your mind when you hear the word learning, especially now that we are in a technologically advanced generation? So learning nowadays is viewed differently as present generations of learners have access to information and at their fingertips. True to say, technology becomes a bridge or tool for learners as well as for the teachers to communicate and collaborate with each other synchronously at their own pace. So in this type of setting that we are in a pandemic, it is very convenient for us to use the other ways of learning, not just the traditional way of learning by going to schools and having the fairs and the such and hard copies. But since that we are in a technology in the new setting, we go to the new way of learning, which is the flexible learning. So in I will going to discuss the what is flexible learning and its environments, types, platforms, features, which includes the advantages and disadvantages of flexible learning, and to elaborate further the importance of flexible learning. So, what comes into your mind when you hear the word flexible learning? What platforms do flexible learning utilize, and what are the disadvantages and disadvantages of this type of learning? So, flexible learning is what most schools rely now as we are in a pandemic situation. So flexible learning is defined as a method of learning where students are given freedom in how, what, when, and where they learn. So for that context, that students have the chance now to have a learning space according to what they have in their home. So other than that, flexible learning is also defined as it provide learners with more possibilities and options while also giving them more control over their learning through a range of learning modes. So overall, this type of learning is usually used by educational institutions for short-term and distance learning programs. One of the good example of flexible learning is when a teacher or a student or a person who wanted to pursue his or her career advancement. The application for that type of learning is flexible learning, which is according to his or her schedule. So in this type of learning, students can possibly continue to join class sessions by, even if they are not physically present or not in that physical setting or the normal setting of classrooms, they become uh, able to learn in that type of setting. So in this learning process, technology plays an important role. So as a result, flexible learning is not a new educational model, but rather a collection of prevailing, established, and emerging ways of learning and teaching that it welcomes, extends, and mixes. So now let's proceed to what is flexible learning environment. As defined, flexible learning environment is a setting where flexible learning takes place. As simple as that. And flexible learning takes into account how physical space is used, how learners are paired while or grouped while learning, and how time is utilized through teaching. So these are the types of flexible learning. Since, as I've said earlier, we can have different modalities of flexible learning depending on how a student or what the student can possibly do, even if he or she is not in that physical setting classroom. So for this, we have the 5 types of flexible learning: the modular distance learning, online distance learning, blended learning, TV or radio-based learning, and homeschooling. So that's all for the types of flexible learning. Let's proceed to the flexible learning platforms. So for flexible learning platforms, these are all free programs designed for educational use. So we have here the flexible learning platforms that Moodle, Google Classroom, Edmodo, Schoology, MOOCs, Edukos. Edukos is not a flexible learning platform, but it is a organization to encourage flexible learning modality. So these are all good for the instructional activities for the teacher to give those learning modules, even if not in a physical classroom setting. So first, let's have Moodle. Moodle, or Modular Object-Oriented Dynamic Learning Environment, is a learning management system that uses to manage, deliver, and measure training and learning online. It is an open source software and perhaps the most well-known LMS platform of its kind, and it's certainly widely used everywhere. Okay, and as a recap as what mentioned in our module, Moodle was created by Martin Daugamas, the founder and CEO of Moodle. The educational institutions uses Moodle as their LMS because it allows users to build and upload e-learning contents and deliver it to learners, assess them on that content, and allow communication and collaboration through forums and discussions. They are also able to track their progress and recognize the achievements of the students. So this is how Moodle looks like in a desktop setting and in a mobile setting. Next, we have Google Classroom. Google Classroom is a free service and open source platform for teachers and students. It is an LMS platform accessible for everyone that has a desktop or a website and mobile application that requires a Google account in creating or joining classes. Google Classroom uses a scaled-down approach to give teachers the things they need to communicate with students, organize class events and materials, and keep records of all the activities and quizzes of the students. You can also use Classroom in your school to streamline assignments, boost collaboration, and foster communication, as it is again available on the web and by the mobile app. Google was then developed under Google, and it is compatible to any G Suite applications such as Google Mail, Google Docs, Google Calendar, and Google Drive. Same as with Moodle, Google Classroom is free, compatible with devices, simple and easy to use, and is integrated with other third-party apps. So this is how Google Classroom looks like in a desktop and for the mobile app of Google Classroom. Next is Edmodo. Edmodo is a free learning management platform for K-12 schools and teachers, as it enables teachers to share content, distribute quizzes, assignments, and manage communication with students, colleagues, and parents. Edmodo merges classroom content, safe communication, and assessment with social media savvy. Most of the users prefer Edmodo because of its Facebook-like interface, easy navigation. However, teachers will need to stay up to date with the content and carefully monitor student communication on the platform because it depends on the Edmodo, sorry. So, for that, Edmodo also uses post warm-up questions, quick polls, and the likes. And sometimes Edmodo saves time for teachers in grading teacher-created assessments. As what I mentioned earlier, it depends on Edmodo and how they were able to decide with the institution. So one thing that is a con for Edmodo is that it gives or it shows traditional or contextual advertisements in the website. It is not much it gives distraction to the students as the advertisements may be vulgar to the students. As a fact, Edmodo was created by Nick Borg, Jeff O'Hara, and Crystal Hutter in 2008, but was shut down recently last September 22, 2022 because of the fast innovation of technology and surge of more advanced platforms. So this is how Edmodo looks like in the desktop. It looks like a Facebook. Next is Schoology. Schoology is a web-based learning management system, or LMS, where teachers can create and assign a slew of creative tasks, which students can access through the website as well as through iOS, Android, and Chrome apps. This is one of the advantage of Schoology because it is compatible with various types of websites. The teachers and school administrations that uses Schoology can store important resources in group folders that everyone can access and support due to the improved integration with Google and Microsoft. Schoology features include accessibility and easy to use, and the opportunity to access important class materials such as notes, worksheets, and links to helpful resources at any time. As a fact or a trivia for Schoology, Schoology was founded in 2009 by Jeremy Friedman, Ryan Wong, Tim Trinidad, and Bill Kindler. And this is how Schoology looks like in a desktop site. Last but not the least is the MOOCs, or the Massive Open Online Course. MOOCs is not a platform but more educational site, but more like a website that offers massive online courses to take depending on the students who will take that course. So MOOCs is defined as a model for delivering learning content online to any person who wants to take a course. It is another modality to learning that it allows one to pursue learning even outside of the university or higher education formal structure. Those who are working can enroll to MOOCs with no limit of attendance. As mentioned earlier, it utilizes online courses. MOOCs offers different courses depending on what type of career you're going to pursue, and it gives a software to self-direct students the tools to study on a chosen subject or course at their convenience. Furthermore, MOOCs have these examples of these are examples of MOOCs: the Coursera, the Udacity, the Canvas Network, FutureLearn, LinkedIn Learning, Khan Academy, Skillshare, and more. Those are some of the most popular MOOCs that we can find on. And last but not the least in our assigned topic is the EDUCAUSE. EDUCAUSE is not a platform or a flexible learning environment platform, but more like a website to encourage everyone in terms of using different flexible learning platforms. As described or as defined, EDUCAUSE is a non-profit association with a mission to advance higher education through the use of information technology. So, as a history for the EDUCAUSE or the name EDUCAUSE, it was formed last 1998 through a merger of two respective professional associations, CAUSE and EDUCOM. These two aims to support flexible education or for higher education that offers a coherent, coordinated set of programs to serve all dimensions of campus IT functions, develop comprehensive, timely services to support the professional within the membership community, and provide unified leadership on the key policy issues affecting higher education. So, EDUCAUSE helps those who lead, manage, and use information technology to shape strategic decisions at every level. As EDUCAUSE actively engages with colleges and universities and other nonprofit organizations, it furthers the mission of transforming higher education through the use of information technology. And as a bonus for this discussion, I will also provide the features and challenges for in the flexible learning environments for us to be aware and to keep us in mind that there are advantages and disadvantages of flexible learning environments. So for flexible learning features, we have 6 here. We have flexible access, flexible content, flexible participation, flexible teaching and learning methods, flexible resources, and flexible assessments. So for the challenges, we have meeting the learner's needs, staying connected, correct assessment, peer review, delegation of tasks, and technological difficulties. So since that these challenges exist, it is a challenge for the different flexible learning platforms to overcome these challenges and improve further to have an effective learning. So that's all for my discussion for the topic technology collaborative tools in the flexible learning environment. And I will end this video with a quote: "The decision lies in the teacher who will determine what works best in his or her teaching and learning context. All are amazing and is worth exploring." That's all, and thank you so much for listening.